guys, how's it going? Today we are going to start off with a little unboxing here in the Hartley. We got a box from Henry's studio the other day, so I'm excited to get it opened up. When we're done with that, we're going to head out into the garden to do a little bit of work. And it is nice in the way of temperature. It's 52 degrees outside. The sun is out, but it's pretty blustery today, which honestly, I don't love the wind, but sometimes it's nice to have some air movement when you're out working because you can warm up pretty quick. More so, I guess, in the summertime than now, but I don't know, even now I can get pretty warm out there working. I think we'll be doing some perennial cutback and some things like that. I thought about maybe planting some things, but I'm thinking cleanup should probably come first. And then Aaron is going to walk you through how he maintains our gravel driveway. After the type of winter that we've had with tons of snow and ice and just moisture, the whole thing was a muddy, slick mess. And I would look at it and think, I just need new gravel. I need to bring in truckloads of gravel and cover over the top of all this stuff. But he's got an implement on his tractor that just does beautiful work on the driveway. So he's just going to walk you through that in the end. So anyway, let's get this box opened. So like I said, it's from Henry's studio. I was not expecting this, but this is the note. Hi, Laura. Hope this gnome changes your mind on gnomes. Your friends at Henry's studio. Okay, so we know it's a gnome. We just have to figure out, is it a gnome we're going to sneak into our garden or into someone else's? I don't know if this says anywhere how much it weighs. Let me see, but it's a pretty hefty box. It's 55 pounds. And if there's one thing I've learned through the years, it's to never say never. My mind has changed on some things throughout the years. I've not really been a gnome fan throughout the years, typically, so we'll see. Oop. Oh boy, that thing is in there. Okay, already on first glimpse, I'm seeing it's not super colorful, which is great. That's got one thing going for it. The note says, hi, Laura, hope this gnome finds a home with you in your garden. Oh my, there she is. So her name is Rosie the gardener. Oh look, there goes Aaron and Samantha on the tractor right now. Anyway, her name is Rosie the gardener. That's what the packing list says. She's got a little braid down the back and a little basket full of flowers. I like that part. She's heavy, so she's not going to topple over very easily. Watering can right there. Oh, there's a little bunny peeking out of her dress right there. And then she's got a little flower headband. And she has a very pleasant look on her face, which is nice. The face or the eyes on a statue can really make or break how I feel about it. And she's got a pretty pleasant looking face. And I love that her name is Rosie. I have a niece whose name is Rosemary, but we call her Rosie, and she's super sweet, and she loves to garden with her mom and dad. So anyway, that kind of reminds me of her. Thank you, Henry's studio, for sending this out. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sneak it into a flower bed without telling anybody and see who notices it first. I think that'd be fun. Okay, this is perfect. So I've got some Mr. Mustard false spireas right here. And we've got a Montana moss juniper. I always plant annuals right here, so she's kind of tucked in. And she's not in a super obvious spot, so it's gonna have to catch someone's eye. So we'll see how long it takes for somebody to notice her over here. But this is kind of where we're gonna be working anyway. I need to run and grab a pop-up bag, but some of the stuff we need to work on, these spireas, we need to deadhead these. There's lots of perennials that we need to cut back at this point. Yeah, this whole area right here. So the spireas, right here we have a carpet of thyme. I can't remember what variety, it might be orange thyme. Anyway, I need to kind of clean that up. There's some yarrow, the cottontail yarrow I need to cut back. Monarda needs to be cut back. There's an allium that needs to be cut back. We came out and did the lilies not that long ago, or it feels like it wasn't that long ago. And then we've got all of this yarrow right here that we need to take care of. Holy moly, I apologize if the audio is just wretched today. But that is kind of what we're looking at, just stuff like that. So I'm going to go grab a pop-up bag, and then we're just going to get after it. We'll do the things that I just showed you, and then if we've got time, we'll move on to the next spot. Before we get much further on these Mr. Mustard spireas, there are a couple of things I wanted to mention. Mr. Mustard blooms on old wood, so you want to be careful on where you're pruning them. In fact, it's best to prune them right after they get done blooming so that they have time to set buds for the blooms for the next year. But if you come in at this point, you can always deadhead these. So there's the spent bloom. If you follow it down, you can find the first viable bud. So if you were doing this earlier in the season, you might not be able to tell, but because we've had some warmth, I can tell where that bud is. So I would just come in, and instead of like shaping up the plant and cutting it further down, I'm going to cut it right above that bud, like that. And then I'm going to remove any dead, like this is last year's bloom. I'm going to get rid of anything that looks like that. So basically what you're left with is a nice clean looking branch with beautiful buds. All the dead has been removed and the spent blooms as well. The other thing is suckering. Now this type of spirea, I've had other varieties of this that spread really quite bad. This one does not, and if you move, I mean it does spread, but it doesn't spread as quickly in my experience so far. These have been in the ground for a few years at this point, and it does sucker a bit right around the plant, and I'll show you one. But it's about a once a year job. Like I've already cleaned them up around 2 of these plants, so I've got one, I think just one to clean up around this one. So the plant there, sucker right here. All you do is just pull it up and cut it off. Like that. Oh, I guess technically this one was a sucker and just got a little bit bigger. So you could plant this somewhere else if you wanted another plant. And sometimes when they spread out like this, you want to keep it so that the base of the plant gets a little bit thicker or wider. But there are other times where you want to keep it nice and contained. So we have found if you come along at least just once a year and clean up the suckers, it keeps the job done and they stay put. All right, we got our section done. It's looking so much better, and it's so fun to see all the new growth on things already. So starting off with the Mr. Mustard spireas, got those all cleaned up. And if you look in here, I mean, look at this. These are already starting to leaf out. The buds are very apparent, which is super nice, that they are easy to see where to prune. And maybe we can pop a picture up of the color of the new growth on these because my goodness, in the spring, well, they're pretty all season long because they always kind of have like multicolor foliage, but in the spring especially, they are so vibrant and beautiful. And then right here we have a black lace elderberry, which I'm looking very much so forward to this one putting on more size. This one as well. In fact, I kind of want to pop a couple more in just to create more of a thick border back here. The thyme, which I still can't remember the name of this one, I just did my best trying to clean it up. I planted just several plants in kind of a big drift right here, and you can see like this one didn't have much life. There's a little bit at the base, but then there were others that had more green leaves in there, and it will fill back in eventually. And thyme is a very resilient plant, thankfully. I think it was last year or the year before I went around with several different varieties of thyme and just popped them in random spots. They're just such a wonderful low-growing border plant, and they kind of creep in around other plants. Really, really pretty. I do see a picture, however, circulate every single year of thyme, and I can't remember, it's like red thyme. Is that a variety? I don't know. It's like a reddish pink bloom. Pretty vibrant, although I think the image has been doctored, but I see it circulate every year, recommending that people switch their lawns over to thyme as an alternative, which I think there are some fun alternatives out there. I don't know that I would pick thyme though, like just based on how ours grows here, and it could grow different in other places. But you know, it's at peak for a short amount of time when it's in bloom. I mean, maybe a few weeks. You enjoy that gorgeous bloom, but then those blooms die, and then you've got all the dead blooms on the top, where to actually see the beautiful plant, I would feel the need to go in and whack all of that back or just shave off that top growth, which if we did that for lawns around here, oh my goodness, what a pain that would be. I don't know. I don't think I'd ever use it as a lawn alternative, but that's just me. Everything else was super easy to cut back. So the cottontail yarrow, which looks like a baby's breath, it's a wonderful plant. And if you get in here, you can see all of the new growth already. And that, along with the monarda and the allium right there, you can pretty much just break the old growth off. You just kind of grab it and bend it off at the base. Don't tug on it, just try to bend it. If it snaps, then it can be pulled right out. If it doesn't snap, I would use pruners. Otherwise, you might pull up some roots as well. But this yarrow I got as plugs. And boy, I just love it. It's so, so pretty. And it, like I said, it looks like a baby's breath, not a yarrow at all. I would probably check your forecast when you're getting ready to clean up perennials, especially if it's a little bit early. I'm not worried about ours having fresh growth because we don't have any freezing temperatures in our forecast at the moment. So they'll have a chance to acclimate to, you know, their new normal. When you've got new growth at the base that's used to being covered by all of that top growth, that little bit of extra protection, and then you have a really cold few nights, you might risk some damage to that new growth. Usually it won't kill the plant. It might just set it back a little bit, but it's something to think about. Moving on, I think the only thing over here was the yarrow, right? This is the Firefly Peach Sky, and gosh, it's gorgeous because it blooms that beautiful peachy orange. And then right here, which you can't see them because I already cut them back, I've got Blue Bubbly Baptisia. So beautiful blue blooms, and then you've got the peachy blooms. And in the same vicinity, I've got a couple of honeyberries, which are doing great. They are all budded up. All their buds feel soft. That one as well. Right here I have a Kodiak Fresh Durvella, which I love Durvellas, but I think this one needs a little bit more protection than it's getting. So my plan is to move this. Oh my goodness, but not today. I was thinking about doing more clean out, but I think that's enough in the wind. And that brings us to our blackberry bed, which we still need to tackle. We'll do that a different day, but boy, it's so fun just chipping away at this area. Grapes are done, raspberries are done. Little by little getting, perennials and shrubs cut back. Really want to work on filling this space up this year. It's also fun to see those perennials that we put in last year, like the Stokes asters out here. They're gorgeous. I think what they call Riptide. It's a new Proven Winners variety. So pretty. But we had to kind of baby them because I planted them when it was still really hot outside. And usually the first year we kind of baby the plants anyway, keep a close eye on them. But I know this next year we're not going to have to do that because they'll be rooted in, they'll have their drip system, they'll be completely fine. And then we just get to enjoy the plant a little bit more when we don't have to work on keeping it alive so hard. Anyway, guys, that is it for my part of the project today. I'm super happy, even though it was windy, to get a little bit done out here. And we are going to leave you with Aaron's gravel maintenance project. So I hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, so like Laura said, I'm working on the gravel driveway today. This is something that we do every, 2 or 3 times a year. And I probably would have tried to get out and do it a little sooner, but it's just been so wet and there's been snow on the ground and you do kind of have to wait for it to dry off, but it's looking about as bad as we let it get. So let me show you what it looks like. If you own a gravel driveway, this might look familiar, where you just have basically like dirt on, where your tire tracks go. And then all the gravel has kind of made its way over to the edges and over to the middle. And the idea is, like, we just want it to look uniform, right? We just want to try to recapture a lot of that gravel that's made its way to the edges. And the way that we do that is with this. So this is called a land plane. And it's honestly, it's kind of like a magic tool that you pull behind. You can get small ones that you can pull behind like just a regular lawnmower. The bigger you go, the more power you need. And they actually make these to where you can pull them behind a truck too. Although it's not as convenient because you can't like raise it and lower it super easily, and you can't back up and go forward. So having it on the back of a tractor is the most ideal for sure. This is 72 inches, and honestly, it's just kind of, like I said, it's kind of like magic when you go over your gravel. It just brings that gravel back up. The only thing you do need to know is that you definitely have to drive a specific way, because this is right here, show me my finger, this is angled. So the gravel is going to get pulled from this side and it's going to get pulled over to that side because it's at an angle. So you'd want to make sure that like the right side over here is on the edge of your driveway, and then this side is the middle of your driveway. Does that make sense? You'll see it when I start using it. If you do it to where this is the edge of your driveway and that's the middle of your driveway on the right side, it'll just pull all the gravel even more so off to the edge of the road, and that's not what we want. So anyway, this is pretty much it. I don't know if there's a whole lot more to talk about, but it's a beauty, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, I think I jumped on this a little bit too soon. It was a little bit wet. Let me show you. It's better, but it's not perfect. It brought up some gravel, but there's still a lot of dirt there. And you can see just by how dark it is, it's just wet. And it was honestly a little bit tough for the tractor because, you know, it wasn't dry. It was wet. So that was adding a little bit of a weight to it. So it's better. You know, you can't see ruts. I mean, like this in the middle is not a rut. This is just wet gravel. So this will actually dry. So it'll end up drying, probably looking okay. But anyway, I'll probably do this here in another couple weeks, depending on if we get, you know, a lot of rain or whatnot. But if it stays dry, I'll just go over it again. And I think it was worth it. You know, I probably spent like 20 to 30 minutes out here. So it's not like it was a big job or anything. But anyway, so there you go, land plane. That's how we keep our gravel looking nice.